No, not. There we go. Oh, motherfucker.
Oh, metronome. One time, twice.
There we go.
Oh, I was about to go into it.
Did you
G-Dog on the streets.
Did you have enough snare in your headphones?
You got to turn my headphones up. Okay.
Welcome to Two Cups of Blood. This is Matt, semi-retired goth-industrial DJ, IT professional. I also release music under the name Vellocet.
It's a pleasure to have you with me again, and for me to be with you again, Matt. Mechno here, general nerd, also goth-industrial DJ. I'd say I was retired, but it seems like I keep getting pulled back in. So
Semi?
Yeah, it's like I've
Semi-retired?
entered the underground fighting parallel of DJing. Like, you don't know you're going to be fighting that night, but suddenly you're in the ring kind of thing. But yeah, it keeps me on my toes. Keeps it interesting.
And former promoter or semi?
Semi-retired? Yeah. What? It's like you can take the streets out of the kid, but you can't take the kid off the streets or something? I don't know what the saying is, but something like that, yeah. So I think last time my real shortcoming was that I was talking really slowly. So I'm going to think less and talk more. And that's my like takeaway from the intensive listening I've done to last podcast, which was pretty damn funny, by the way. In my opinion, not to, you know.
I thought it went well. So we'll start with our cocktail of the evening, which I think is a good cocktail for October. It's kind of a classic. We're doing a little different spin on it, but it's the bloodbath. Yeah,
so a traditional bloodbath is a mix of Cabernet wine, Chambord, and cranberry juice, and it is really good. It is a really good cocktail.
And let me just say, Chambord, for people who don't know, is like a raspberry liqueur.
Right.
Kind of sweet, kind of fruity. Very fruity.
So getting into a full disclaimer here, I have the philosophy, and it's just a guideline, but if you're doing a heavily mixed drink where a big portion of your drink is going to be mixer, you don't always have to go top shelf with your alcohol. Chambord is really expensive. And so this time we tried a substitution with, what is this?
Amore?
D'Amore raspberry. Sort of a bartender's friend utility style raspberry liqueur. And in this application, it seemed to get along just fine.
Cool.
A little sweeter, a little bit. So why don't you tell us about the spin that we put on this one?
So the spin is, instead of cranberry juice, which wasn't right on hand, what we did have today, purchased by mistake actually, was some apple cranberry cider, which when you're expecting the taste of real apple cider is a bit off-putting, but it's actually pretty good. It has that... It's a real blend of that cranberry feeling with that apple cider, and I thought that might be a fun twist for October and our bloodbath.
Yeah, in the end, I think it worked out great. It's about 8 ounces of apple cider cranberry blend with 2 ounces of raspberry liqueur and 3 ounces of Cabernet, optionally with a shot of a neutral spirit such as a white rum or a vodka.
Yes.
They're all sort of, there's a high sugar content, so it should have pretty fast effect, but generally speaking, none of the players are really high alcohol, so, I don't, it's hard to say what an evening-long effect would be of drinking these, but I think we made ridiculous, easily pint glasses of this stuff, so.
Yes, these are very tall ones, and we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, we'll see what happens there.
Now, because these are tall ones and we're taking a while to drink them, and because we used a cider product in here, it's interesting. I'm getting a little bit of a weird separation, which looks really funky, but I think it tastes just fine.
Yeah, I think it's just apple particulate that's up on the top.
Yeah, and it kind of hangs down. You can kind of barely. It's a very dark purple drink, so you can't really see through it, but you can see just the edge of some of the. It looks almost like tendrils hanging down, somewhat Lovecraftian.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Somewhat jellyfish-like.
I like it.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I can't be trusted, so I'm drinking mine out of like a sippy cup, and because I am paranoid that I'm really not a seasoned drinker, believe it or not. So I worry that I'm gonna like lose coordination and just start spilling stuff all over in this beautiful studio. So I've taken measures, taken precautions.
I would say you're seasoned. Maybe you're not in practice, but you certainly have experience.
Yeah. I think, I did some research for drinks, and the drink question that I put out to the universe was, if an Arnold Palmer is a 50-50 blend of lemonade and iced tea, what is a Laura Palmer? And the overwhelming response was like drinks that had cocaine in it.
Jesus.
And I was like, it's a tall order for the show, but okay.
What did our crazy friend Johnny Anarchy say? He's a big Twin Peaks guy.
I think he just had he had absinthe in it. Yes, he said iced tea, lemonade, or limoncello when I talked to him with absinthe, because now he's really in taking it more from the perspective of the Twin Peaks angle than the drinkability angle. He said the absinthe is key for something that's dark and twisted, that's not completely obvious at first. So I was like, okay, all right, that's respectable. I've also been, I think, for the next episode, I'm going to be working on it's a derivation of Coke Black. Now, Coke Black is a very short-lived soft drink put out by the Coca-Cola Company. What was it, like late 90s, I guess?
So this is somewhat analogous to the Szechuan sauce?
You could draw analogies. People did really like Coke Black, too. I hope we'll come back to Szechuan sauce, I feel. But so Coke Black was it's Coca-Cola with a coffee flavor.
Oh.
No, it was actually very nice. It was more caffeine than a normal Coke.
Okay, I'm not a coffee fan, so that's why I react that way, but if I was into coffee, it might be intriguing.
Well, it came to mind because Coke actually just released their Coke Zero with coffee in Japan.
Oh.
And I don't know if there's plans to bring it to the United States, but as a fan of Coke Black, it refreshed my memory and brought it back. So I've been toying with the idea of the recipe for making Coke Black at home is 1 part Coke Zero, which is their no sugar, but is supposed to not taste like butt, I guess. I don't know. Coke Zero with 1 part cream soda with a couple tablespoons of strong, like, espresso, and a packet of either a packet of artificial sweetener or a teaspoon of extra sugar. So I think when I hear this, I'm like, okay, so we're going to take a cola, we're going to take cream soda, we're going to take coffee liqueur, which has already got the sugar in it. So
yeah,
there you go. But as somebody who hates coffee, I don't know if this is going to work out for you. That might be horrible.
Well, Kahlua, I like Kahlua, so
well, then there
explain
you go.
that. I don't know.
Ta-da.
Yeah, so that sounds intriguing. I'd be willing to give it a try.
And later this month, I'm going to make the return of Donkey Kong Country.
Ooh.
Yes, at the Halloween party that we're hitting up.
Cool.
I'm going to definitely be bringing some banana rum and mug caffeinated root beer.
Nice.
And yeah, it's I kind of like, it's not healthy at all, but I do kind of like the combination of the alcohol depressant and the caffeine. It's probably really bad for your heart, but people aren't drinking because they're like being health nuts about it.
This is true.
So yeah.
What about did we ever name our absinthe cocktail from before?
I think you actually came up with a really good name for it.
What did I call it?
You called it...
the Unnameable.
Yeah, the Unnameable.
We should make some Unnamables as well.
They were not bad.
I think that crowd would appreciate.
Especially, it's one of those things where I think if at a certain point in the evening people start slipping into Unnamables,
oh yeah,
they're doomed.
Oh yeah.
That's the end of it.
Well, there's probably going to be some hot rum cider mixing happening on a stovetop. I'm going to assume. Maybe I shouldn't assume anything, but...
I think it's a pretty safe assumption. I can't say 100%, but I'm pretty sure.
I would think that
Sounds
they'd
reasonable.
be doing that. So between those three, I think the bases are covered.
Okay. So I'll be going to a wedding before that Halloween party, and, it sounds like it's going to be a difficult slog, with like a couple hours of driving there and back and then doing a Halloween party. But
Damn.
I find that there's like a certain delightful cocktail made of exhaustion and alcohol. A 36-hour stint of being awake doing like night work and then doing a couple shots, it really is like a surreal, kind of delightful experience if you're in the right headspace for it. So
I can see that.
So stay up for a couple days and do a couple shots and let me know what you think.
Jesus. Maybe, maybe not.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's talk about some music stuff. So we mentioned promotion. We talked a little bit about a couple things before, but I was wondering if you wanted to talk about like some good acts that you have worked with, or maybe some people you always wanted to book but couldn't book.
Oh, that's tricky.
Yeah.
Like there are some acts that I really wanted to book, and I was disappointed to find that. So I'm not going to name a name because I really don't. This is totally vague booking. I realize it. But I don't want to name a band, but there is a band that was making some great music via suffering, and their life got much better. And their music started sucking.
9 Inch Nails.
No, that's not who I'm talking about.
Come on.
No, I'm not going to say because, I wish him the best. But he's always been super pretending like he's interested in, coming out to play. And then, like, oh no, it's right around my kid's birthday, and I know when his kid was born. So like, oh, my kid's got a birthday this year, I can't make it, I'm really sorry, is kind of a shit excuse, but, I get it. He's a family man now. He just wants to stay home most of the time. That's what he wants to do.
So just say no. That's,
Yeah, but his new stuff sucks anyhow, so
okay.
It's not like a huge loss, but that was so negative, man.
You can be a little negative.
Nah,
it's okay.
I'm not like a negative person. I think one of my favorite people to work with is definitely Brian Grofner. I mean, he's coming up every episode so far, but he is just such a pro to work with, and he puts on a great show. And is super professional in that he delivers the product. He will like really focus in on what he needs to do to deliver the product, and will do it. Like,
cool.
He's just good like that.
And he always delivers.
He always delivers.
Yeah.
It
doesn't matter how many hours he's been up, if he just got off the plane.
He's a madman.
He goes out there and he does it. It's incredible.
But yeah, I guess I would like to have booked Rabbit Junk. It's really hard, especially, one of the things when I was a promoter, one of the things was I don't anticipate that anyone in our cultural sphere has like a lot of disposable income.
Right.
So even when it's like a big act, if it's something I can mitigate, even through like a strategic loss of money, I will try to keep it at a $5 show, no matter what, because they can do it. $5 they can do.
Yeah.
That's doable. I feel like for some of our guests, or some of the guests that I would love to have come, even pricing at $10, let alone $15, would be really hard for them.
Right.
So, Rabbit Junk, would be something like maybe a $20 show.
Oh.
Because they're all coming from, like, what is it, Seattle, Washington?
Not familiar.
Yeah, they're like, it's as far as you can get, pretty much.
Okay.
So, flying at least one person if you're getting RJ. But, I think there's two main singers, and then they use Cyanotic out of Chicago as their backing band when they do live stuff. So, like, just when you're looking at the airfare for all these people, if they're not already on tour and are going to be coming through the area, doing an East Coast show is really difficult.
Yeah.
But that said, if I sunk a couple $1,000s in and brought Rabbit Junk and said, screw this, I'm charging $20 a ticket, people would come from New York City to see that because it's just an extremely rare occurrence.
Cool.
Yeah. So I guess Rabbit Junk. Who would you have loved to have made a local appearance but didn't end up doing it?
Bands that are still around.
Well, I guess you can't take fictitious bands.
I was
oh man, if Jimi Hendrix was still alive and started doing.
Well, I got to see Switchblade Symphony back in the day, so
okay.
I shouldn't complain. But man, if those guys ever got back together, it would be great to have them play here again. Someone that we didn't get to come through. I don't know. Velvet Acid Christ might have been cool to see in a club.
Well,
I'm trying to think of smaller bands that we actually could have wrangled.
Some bands are wrangleable, but when you actually start talking with them, they're not worth wrangling.
Oh.
It's unfortunate, but just because they're in our culture doesn't mean they're uniformly easygoing and like flexible. Like,
you know what? I'll say this: we got Voltaire down here, but we didn't get Steven Seabolt.
That's true. He was actually game, but he was having what was the?
That would have been cool.
Something had come up. We were very close to having Steven because he is ready to come back to Albany, and he is a really nice dude and has really given me all the like positive professional vibes. But I believe, and this is something I can totally understand, I believe he was having some health problems with one of the animals in his family.
Okay.
And so, like, it just was not a good time for him to do the traveling. And he told me that directly, and it was like, cool. Well, I hope there's another opportunity down the road because you're great and we'd love to have you. But yeah, he's a really cool dude, or seems like.
Formerly of Hate Department, in case people don't recognize the name. What part of the country is he from, by the way? Or where is he now?
Oh, boy.
He's not Chicago. He's somewhere.
No, it's... I could be wrong, and I'll probably fact check this for next episode, but I'm going to say, like, Indiana. Like, it's...
Okay.
It's not like a hotbed.
Right.
But yeah, I think he's just out on his own compound now, and his acoustic stuff. When he does acoustic, it's great. Have you ever heard any of that?
Just a little bit, but yeah, I was impressed.
Yeah, I think I would have liked to get Abney Park.
Okay.
And they come to mind. They're like sort of a folk. This is not more negativity. I'm not a negative person, I swear. This is not negativity. It's just really not my thing. I come from an engineering background, and there's so much about the steampunk aesthetic that bothers me.
You're not the only one who has this opinion, but continue.
So, like, I understand the sort of fascination of mechanisms and like an attraction to technology. But I just feel like so much of steampunk veers so aesthetic that it doesn't, there is no, it's like a mega church of mechanism worship, where it's like there really isn't religion there. There's just like idolatry. So I don't know, not to get too like, but anyhow,
it's the
so
non-functional aspect.
Yeah, it's like hats that have a gear on it because
you need a gear.
Yeah, because you gotta have a gear on something.
Yeah, and goggles.
Okay. Yeah, because okay.
Right.
So like, yeah, the steampunk's not really my thing exactly, and I'm not critical. Some people can do really great outfits in that aesthetic, but for me, it would be insincere for me to go full steampunk. Diesel punk is way more approachable for me because it's just sort of like, I find it indistinguishable from just general industrial. It's sort of like, it's a little on the grimy side, a little tattered, but you get the impression this is a person who like mixes it up. They just will get the fuck in there and do it. So that's cool.
Nice.
Can we use cuss words?
Why not?
All right. It wasn't
Fuck
bad.
it.
The kids, I don't know.
The kids. Come on. Oh, yeah. I mentioned this last time, but god damn it. Stabbing Westward back together, sounding great. It would have been great to get them in here. Maybe a little bigger than we could get in here in this area, but I mean, that would have been something.
What remains to be seen is whether or not the second wave ex-human management will have the same ethic of intentional money loss. So we really, like, when we were doing it, we would slowly buffer funds and then strategically lose them. So, like we lost $2,000 on the last like weekend.
Ooh.
And it was completely intentional. It was like, what's everything we can do to come out of this weekend with a zero bank account in the fund?
Nice.
And it worked out great. I mean, I was very pleased.
Yeah. I mean, it was a great event. No one's done anything like that before, or, it was only a couple months ago, but
yeah,
haven't done anything like that since.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm hoping that, if the new team wants to do that sort of like slow charge and then rapid discharge for like something major,
yeah,
I think they could do it. And I also think they'll be better at accepting like backer money.
Okay.
Like, I know that there are some people who are like, well, if I can throw in some special like VIP money to help this happen, I will. I've had offers like that, but I always operated that like this culture and this scene will get what it works for, and I guess work is like, use the term loosely because like showing up and drinking a lot is hardly like a full-time job, but they really are professionals.
Yeah, this is true.
So like after, if my thinking was, if I put the time in and do as good of every month, do as good an event as I can, and the people respond by also coming out in as regular fashion as they can, then the coffers gradually build up and we can do like an occasional big thing.
Blow it out.
Yeah, blow it out.
Yeah, man.
So yeah, I think that there's I have really high hopes for the next regime and how they might, have explosions of talent that occur.
Cool. Very nice.
They're definitely cool dudes, and the cool dudes will flock to other cool dudes and want to work with them.
So other music news. I think I mentioned Bella Morte before, but Bella Morte's new record, Year of the Ghost, is coming out soon. They just played at our little club here, and The Dreaming, Chris Hall's band from Stabbing Westward, they've got a remix album coming out soon called From the Ashes. So that should be some good stuff. And I know the Birthday Massacre has something coming soon, maybe next month.
Again?
There's something.
It was really not that long ago that they released a full-length album. It was like a couple months. And there's a song on there called Hex that is so good. I mean,
excellent.
So nice.
Anything coming that you've heard about, you're excited about?
You know, I had Abney Park on my mind because they just came out with a release. And, you know, Shiver just came out with a release as well, and The Long Lost just came out with a release. So
that's right.
There's been quite a few pretty good releases. I think, yeah. I don't know if it was a DJ promo copy that I saw of the new Bella Morte, but I really thought that I had already seen that Bella Morte drop. I'd have to double check on that. But
I think there's some promo out, but it hasn't officially been released.
Oh, okay.
Or it might be on their Bandcamp, but not at other outlets or something to that effect. Yeah.
So I was going to talk about the nature of goth and what is goth, and like, I find that the only thing that I say is really not goth is the people who believe themselves to be goth, who like look to disqualify others. It's an annoying, I think it's a human trait, right? Where it's like gatekeeperism, where like, oh, you know, they're, you know, like, what's your favorite kind of goth? And don't say pastel goth, because that's not real goth. Like that kind of like just elitist bullshit. I never liked that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Are we talking what's goth today or what's goth?
I guess it's such an amorphic kind of topic, because you have like traditional, like the traditional goth music movement was very much a response. So like I'll paint the picture of you had disco, and disco was by a lot of measures not great. And then as a response to that, like really commercial, really mass-produced vein of music, of disco, you had punk that arose. And punk was like a total reaction, almost as if you could frame it as punk being not disco. Even though there were some elements of punk that were kind of disco-like, you know, you have Blondie and whatnot, that definitely like toyed with the disco tropes. You know, thinking like Heart of Glass, you just think about roller skating and like the disco ball and all that. Mm-hmm. But you know, you had the Ramones, you had the Clash, you had Devo, you had Blondie. They were all punk, but they were all really very different. And it was all just because they were a rejection and reaction to the mass production of music that was disco. And when you come back to goth, when the goth first had its uptick, it was a reaction to punk, in that it was, we can't throw out everything that was music, because there's a lot that's really great that shouldn't be thrown away. And it was readopting those things. You know, Sisters of Mercy is not the oldest of goth, but they're like, you know, they brought in like so much of a symphonic element, really. And, you know, so from that point of view, like, I think that goth is and should be treated as diverse as punk, in that, like, yeah, you know, the stuff that is Alien Sex Fiend is goth, and the stuff that is Sisters of Mercy is goth, and the stuff that is Bauhaus is goth. I'm not really sure if Dolly's Car is goth. That's like an offshoot thing with that Peter Murphy did that I only recently listened to and was just like, this is a bit much for me.
I'm not familiar. Yeah.
Yeah, so like, I think it's really varied. So I guess, long-winded answer is, I guess I'm talking about the modern culture more than the music, because I think the argument that the music is incredibly varied is like not one you can make or not one you can fight. It's like,
Right.
There's a lot that...
Right, especially today. I mean, when things first started coming out of the post-punk world and all that, there was a range of sounds, but there was definitely a certain aesthetic you could grab onto. And then as everything evolved, you had more electronic elements, some more of the dance elements come in. And now there's just such a variety of different stuff. I don't even know. It's such a mixture, at least in our area. It's such a mixture of different people and different scenes. I don't even know if there isn't like a pure goth thing anymore. You know what I mean? It's like a rainbow coalition at this point.
Yeah, I feel like if the people of our area were to go to a different metropolitan area, so going from the Albany area to something in the city,
New York City.
I think that like the people of Albany, by nature of like necessity, are absolutely accepting, at least in the goth community. Absolutely the most accepting people you're going to find. So you'll have like really any range of like people cosplaying when they come out to goth night, people dressed traditional goth, people dressed like they just got out of work. There's one dude who like comes kind of, his trademark is kind of wearing like a sweater, like
okay.
And like he's not gothic by, you would never pick him out and say gothic, but he's got like probably 24 to 48 consecutive shows at X-Human. Like he always comes out.
Wow.
So like, yeah, he's goth as hell. He turns out. Old school goths who don't turn out, they're still goth.
Yeah.
I can't take that away from them. They just need to like, I think old school goths, you absolutely correct me on this because old school is your wheelhouse.
Yeah.
I feel like old school goths are way more prone to not feeling accepted even when they are.
Maybe. I think it's also some of the classics can be a bit underrepresented, I think. And, as more and more music comes out and more sounds are demanded at the club, there's a lot of stompy electronic music that isn't as desirable to the old school folks, or at least some of them. There's some people like the new stuff, some people don't. So I think there's some of that where they might not come out if they, if they're not prepared to, if they don't want to hear the new stuff, if they're really jonesing for some club dancing, that's when they do it.
The only thing that I would question about that is when we were doing it first starting out, we did old school till midnight, and they didn't represent strong.
Yeah.
They knew that it was going to be the time for them. They knew it, and they didn't represent strong. So, like, the other thing is, old school goths tend to be a little on the older side. They're not like geriatric. I'm just saying, like, they have careers. They sometimes have children. It's like really not as easy.
True.
And so it's like, at the end of a Friday workday, after a full work week beating the shit out of you, you're like, I can go home and just decompress and listen to 100% what I want to listen to.
Yeah.
Or I can go out and spend a bunch of money to listen to a blend of things that I hate and things that I want to listen to.
Right.
And I get it.
And deal with those damn kids.
Those damn kids. Fucking kids, man.
Yeah. Well, you know, there's definitely some of that, and there's definitely younger people who like the old music and appreciate it and want to hear it.
Oh, yeah. Were you there when Ralphie did his set? Night Rage?
I don't think so. I might have heard a snippet of it, but I think I missed most of it.
I think you would have dug it. It was old school, but it was sort of a death rock lean.
Right.
And now I'll be the first to say that's not really my leaning. You know, I enjoy it as ambient sound, but I wouldn't necessarily like put it on to
really listen
get
to.
down. Yeah. So like, I was surprised, but people really took to it, and I think that, you know, he did a great job. It was his actual first time DJing at all.
Okay.
And his segues were just fine. He didn't do any like mix master magic or anything like that.
Right.
But
there's no need to do that.
No, absolutely. I actually think it annoys people when you start doing like mashups of the classics, because you're like, the classic was better before you fuck with it.
Yes.
Don't do that, please. If you could not do that, that'd be awesome.
This is a great segue. So I actually wanted to maybe talk about a little bit about DJing and some of the technical stuff, because we're kind of from different schools on that. So because I play mostly old school music, stuff that's more acoustic, you know, bands, more than the more electronic dance songs. Oh, there's a little bit of that. Certainly old school industrial has quantized beats and, you know,
sure,
real dance songs. But generally, I mean, I never beat match. I don't feel like there's a need to beat match. There's not a need to do transitional effects. You know, people just want to hear music. They don't want to hear you trying to play with it. You know, I don't think that brings a lot to the table.
Well, I say it really depends. I think certain genres are hurt by trying to beat match. Really, the art of DJing is twofold. It is either a DJ being a collage artist, which is not necessarily within one song. It's like your entire playlist is your collage, and you're juxtaposing this song next to this song next to this song and building context for your set. Or some DJs actually will have a different grain to their set, and there's songs that are cutting in and out of other songs, and like, you know, they're all valid, but DJing is essentially the art of getting from one song to the other.
Yeah.
So like, I think especially for classics, they're so beloved that just about anything you can do is going to make it worse rather than better. And DJs don't, I can't say DJs don't understand that. Some DJs don't get that like, no, quick departure real quick.
Go for it.
Real quick, which is one of my favorite things to say. Real quick, people need to stop covering Send Me an Angel. Okay, this is like a crucial item. They gotta stop.
There's nothing wrong with the original.
Well, it's been done so many times, But yes. There's like the Zeromancer cover. There's like the brand right now in Germany, number 14 on the German Electronic Weekly chart. Number 14 is Christopher Anton and the Joneses with Send Me an Angel. And I'm like, send me the fuck home, because that shit's over. Stop with that song. That song is like it's never good. Like, it's gonna make me segue, which kind of makes me want to like diverge totally schizophrenically into Blade Runner 2049.
Okay.
Which is, if you like the rapey parts of the original Blade Runner, you're gonna love 2049.
So I've heard. I haven't seen it yet. I don't know.
Okay, now I'm gonna back channel and come back, bringing it all back. Okay, so rewinding to the collage art, I like now. My style of DJing is very dance centric. Like,
right.
I like people dancing, so I try to, my transitions endeavor to give people the cues to what is happening so that they don't have awkward moments, because awkward kills the intuitive feel of the dance floor. So I try to give them like, the song either like starts noticeably slowing down so they can slow down their dancing, and then it moves into the next track. And there's definitely a thing to be said for BPM as far as planning your set. Like, we're going to take it faster for here, and then we're going to drop. And that drop is either when people who are at the bar are going to come forward, or people who are on the floor are going to like chill out a little bit. But that's how I always did it.
That's cool. Yeah, I know you've had that philosophy where you don't mind those hard transitions, either between DJs or between, if you're switching flavors within if you're going from like gothic to industrial, or industrial to ravey or dubsteppy or whatever, you don't mind some of those hard transitions because you want the people who are dancing, who are waiting to get a drink, they can move out, and the people who've been waiting to hear that new thing, they can come in and take over.
I would say that I'm a businessman, but it's not that I'm a businessman. It's that I've always tried to run things like as a symbiotic organism. That like, if the bar is happy, they will be happy with us. So like a harsh transition every 30 to 45 minutes, not like harsh like bad, but like a drastic, like it goes from 140 to like 80 BPM. That is a perfect opportunity to the people who are exhausted to leave the floor and go get a drink, and the people who are at the bar to say, hey, that's my fucking jam, and like mosey out and start having fun.
Yeah, cool.
But yeah.
I think, if we can talk about DJ mistakes for a minute.
Oh, sure.
You're very sensitive in what you said about giving people cues for dancing. Because when you screw somebody on the dance floor, not literally, but when you get someone to like stumble and fuck up in front of goths, like, it's not that in our culture here, in our town, it's not that bad. People aren't too judgy about that kind of thing.
Right. They're not. They don't wish you dead,
right.
Usually. But
inside, you're going to be like, oh, God, I look like an idiot. And you're going to stop dancing. You're going to run away, right?
It's true.
So, that's a good philosophy to have, to be sensitive to that, to not, screw people up on the floor with your wigga wigga, or your, I'm going to put an echo effect right here and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, it's true. And the, that actually like has an echo back to my raver days, which is like, I would actually like, I was a judgy little fuck. And I would like write DJs off as not trustworthy because of the way that they DJ'd. Because I would know that like I'd get out there and I'd be starting to find a groove, and they would do something to fuck it up, like a house diva. Like there'd be something that was like really heavy on the vocals for no fucking reason. And like, I didn't need it.
Yeah.
It was not my jam.
Taking you out of the vibe.
Yeah. And so like, I'd be like, not trustworthy.
Yeah. Well, in more recent times, one of the worst things I've experienced, technically not, well, I don't know how to put it, aesthetically really rubbed me the wrong way, I guess. I think it was an 80s night, and I don't know who the hell was DJing, but this was a couple of years ago, but recent times. They were obviously beat matching, which I'm so old school. It's like I feel there's a certain integrity. You know, bands don't arbitrarily choose a tempo. Maybe some of them do, but you're writing a song at a certain speed and a certain key for a reason. And you know, when you're beat matching, you're changing that tempo to get it to match a different song. You're changing that pitch a little bit up or down when you do that. So this guy was taking classic 80s songs, like not stupid ones that it's nice to hear once in a while. I'm talking like, you know, Tainted Love, like something you've heard 80 billion times. You know exactly what it sounds like. You know there's like 3 verses in there. You know where the choruses are. You might not have it in your head right now, but when you're hearing that song,
right,
you know its structure and you know what's coming because you've heard it a bunch. And he was taking songs like that, and it was just like a nonstop mashup. It was like 2 verses, like verse, chorus, and then transition into the next song, beat matched with like no... You know, you don't even get to hear that last verse. He just goes into the next song, but only 2 minutes of it. And then he goes into the next song, and there's no break.
Yeah, the mega mix style that you're referring to is really off-putting.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, granted, I will play devil's advocate for just a moment, and I will say that there is a place for adjusting tempo and other elements of the song, adding like a bass line or something from a different song in real time that is akin to if the artist were doing this now, what would they do? How would they contemporize this song? You know, and I can see that. But that's not at all excusing, because I think I don't know if I was at the same night that you were, but I have seen it, and it's just... It's hard for me to say because I just get like real weird when I'm saying negative things, but it was gross. It was like really disgusting that so little reverence was paid to these classics that brought people out, that like everything is like just chopped up. It was like the sausage of music. It was like, we'll take a piece of this, we'll take a piece of that, and just like all these small pieces, and nothing was like a really good cut. Whereas, you know, when I'm playing a song, sometimes a song is so... Bad example, but I'll give it. When you play Closer by 9 Inch Nails, it really trails off. That song does not fucking die. It goes into some toy piano shit at the end.
Yes.
But you have to fucking respect that, because that is a classic. People know that song. People connect with that song. You cut off that toy piano, and you've invalidated something that is sentimentally very important to that person.
And they're waiting for that slowdown. They're waiting to do their, all right, I've been stomping around, and now I'm going to do my slow, twisty thing. And
I've been drinking because I had way more passion for that than I should have.
I
got it.
I like it.
Hold off a second.
Oh, come on.
No. Oh, easy, bro.
No reason to slow down.
That's true. All right, more drinks.
But yeah, so I would just say it's, you know, to any aspiring or practicing young DJs out there, it's not a crime to let a song end. Like, let it fade out a little bit. It doesn't have to be nonstop sound. It's, you know, it's even nice to let something fade out a little bit, get close to silence, and then hit them with something, you know, they're going to like.
Yeah, I think it's really respectful to the original source material.
Right.
It's my opinion, but I'm old as fuck now, so what do I know?
Especially if people are still dancing on that fade. And, you know, again, I'm coming from an old school place where the older music, like, you know, Bauhaus, she's in parties, you know. the song kind of ends and then it comes back in for that little bass line hit and then it fades out kind of fast. But you have to let that in there. You have to let that fade a little bit. You can't just hit them with that next thing right away. So, I mean, one part is song selection, one part is song order, and then the other thing is the transitions. The transitions don't have to be fancy.
No, I actually found that like so much is the opposite of what you'd think. Like a transition that is, timed well, certainly with timing in mind, but completely lets one song end before starting the next song with the presence of mind of knowing how the next song starts. So planning the transition.
Yeah.
I'm not some sort of DJ professor here, but I will say that like you are not, the amount of time that you spend between songs is really like what separates you from an iTunes playlist. And
True.
it's variable. Sometimes you just give it like an extra beat at the end so that people feel the end of that song because that song was important to them.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I hear you.
It's way deeper than it's like more like impassioned than I mean to be about it.
No, I mean, obviously music is important to you. It's important to me. I think there are certain songs that have, saved people's lives, certainly stopped people from killing themselves and just made them keep going. And, stuff like that sticks with you. I certainly have a great reverence for music and there's a lot of crap out there, but there's a lot of things that have a lot of meaning to people and can be very powerful. And it depends on what it is. It depends on the genre. Some of the electronic songs where you can segue into something with the same tempo or nearly the same tempo, that's appropriate. Some of the older things, some of the classics that people know, people are into, you see the people dancing. You can't just cut it off. You can't just, pretend it doesn't end the way it ends. And you can, but I don't know. There's part of me that doesn't want to do that.
It won't make you a cherished DJ.
Right.
That's like really when people, I don't think most people think about it that much, but when they really like a DJ and they follow that DJ, what really connects them with that DJ is that they identify that DJ understands what's important to them.
Mm.
And, oh dear. I have, ladies and gentlemen in the audience, I'm mixing extra drinks now, and I can't remember which drink I had just put the extra shot of rum into, so I apologize.
That's fine.
Matt,
I'll take an extra shot.
If this is a stiff one.
Whatever.
Yeah.
I'm not going anywhere tonight.
So I have an abrupt segue of I can either talk tech stuff or I can talk about asbestos.
Take it away.
which is your direction?
Let's hit tech real quick.
Okay, so like I have real quick.
Just kidding.
Oh, you just sidetracked me. Oh. Did I talk about real quick last time?
I don't think so.
Real quick is my favorite segue now. It's like something I really notice every time it's used. When people want to make something that they're asking of you seem trivial, they just throw in real quick. Like, oh, could you just reinsert your card real quick? And like,
can I get $100 from you real quick?
Yeah, can I get a drink real quick? Real quick, can I get a drink?
Yeah.
Like, it's so newspeak that like it doesn't feel natural to me yet, but I like die laughing inside every time I hear it. So like that I was at the supermarket and I inserted the chip and was waiting for it to do the thing, and I pulled it early, and he's like, real quick, can you put that back in? And I'm like, oh shit.
Nice.
Real quick.
Real quick.
So generally speaking, I'm a weird person. The sound of my own voice is weird to me.
It's for everybody has that.
Yeah, so like it doesn't sound exactly like I think it will, and so
Whatever.
anyhow. So it was a real challenge for me to listen to our last podcast beyond just doing it, which I can shoot the shit with you 24/7, easy peasy.
Yeah, man.
But listening to myself shooting the shit is hard. But I did this thing, so like I am recently employment liberated.
Nice.
So it's not
Good and bad.
it could be relaxed, except I'm not a person who relaxes extremely easy.
Yeah.
I have paychecks that are going to keep coming through March.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so my lifestyle doesn't really have to change, and there's no like absolute like freak out or like shouldn't really be this much stress about it. All the same, I don't relax extremely well. I sort of get jittery and got to keep moving and engage in all these projects. One of these things that I did that was kind of interesting is I've been going buck fucking wild on Raspberry Pis.
Oh, yeah?
Do you know about Raspberry Pis?
A little bit.
You have one.
Yes.
I think
Courtesy of you.
Because I'm so buck fucking wild on these things that I'm giving them to people.
Yes.
So what I did with my Raspberry Pi, I have two now. One is like a media center one that plays it runs Kodi, which a lot of people with Fire Stick also run Kodi and stuff. So it's not overly technical for me to mention, but it works as a good media center, and it plays emulated video games, and it's really fun. And I got another one that does more like actual business style application for my house. It manages some network stuff, and it runs domain name servers and stuff like that. Anyhow, without getting too nerdy. So what I did was I made this, like, one of the things. I was like, well, what else can this do? Because mostly it's on, it's just not doing anything.
Yeah.
So I made my own internet radio station that is playing constantly. And right now I have several streams going. I have a nerdcore stream it has a playlist of nerdcore hip-hop that it goes through. I have a chat stream that just continually loops our one podcast. And I have like a jazz take on industrial, which is the Speakeasy playlist. So it goes through that. And, you just pick which station our house has a new, like sort of a webpage thing where you can just take one of the radio streams and click on it, and wherever it is, you just catch it in the middle of its stream and it'll be playing, and you listen to whatever. And it's really good. It's the only, so I'll just throw on I feel on some talk radio for a little bit, and I throw it on, and it's a little weird keeping myself company, which is, I think, one of the main roles of talk radio is
That's kind
keeping
of cool.
people company. But yeah, it's really neat. Was it easy? Oh, how is it nasty? Too strong?
No, it's
too
good.
weak? Okay, good.
It's about the same.
Oh, weird. So, on a scale of was it easy to was it hard, I think for somebody who's not a 20-year veteran of system administration, it might be difficult. But it wasn't too bad, I guess.
To set up the radio?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's easy to maintain, and I keep scaling it. Like, I keep thinking about more stuff I'm going to add to, different streams. And the culmination is actually building a radio with a new Raspberry Pi that when you turn the FM tuner dial, it actually will rotate which of the internal Shoutcast radio streams it's tuning to. So just a portable radio that you scroll through, and it'll
Interesting.
Have different things on the dial, and just pick the one you feel like hearing.
When you say radio, you mean this is a local broadcast, or are you talking it's just Wi-Fi?
It is Wi-Fi based, but it will be built into the form of a radio.
I see.
It'll cannibalize the radio, stuff another Raspberry Pi in there, because you always got to cannibalize and stuff with another Raspberry Pi.
So is this going to be like a little radio, or is it going to be like, you going to do like a boom box, something cool?
It's probably something like a boombox, yeah.
Awesome.
And yeah, just it'll, as you scroll it, it'll tune. Maybe I'll put like little like grease pencil markers on the thing for where the different radio stations are, so you
That'd
can
be
scroll
cool.
over and like, oh yeah, you can move through and pick a different one, and it rolls to the next. So yeah, it's all anticipation of eventually running Ex-Human Radio, which is sort of a curated playlist of Ex-Human's top picks, maybe a playlist of 30 or so songs with interstitial band station IDs and stuff.
Cool.
Should be fun.
You could play historical playlists as well if you wanted to.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I have pretty much all the histories on the laptop there.
Nice.
Yeah, so
Very nice.
totally doable.
Now, would you ever put these out there on the internet for people to connect to?
Yeah, that is actually the plan. Is there is an Ex-Human website, exhuman.org, that currently just redirects to Facebook. But the ultimate plan is its own webpage with ties back to the Facebook as far as like event promotion, but is really focused on music reviews and cultural articles and things like that.
That'd be really cool.
With the radio station, playing some of the playlists from time gone by.
Nice. I like it.
Yeah, it's one of those things that, like, I can't do nothing. It's really hard for me to do nothing. So, like...
Yeah, I can only do that for a couple, 3 days, and then I'm going out of my mind.
I have not been able to play a video game that's more involved than R-Type. You know R-Type? Like it's like a side-scrolling shooter, bullet hell kind of thing.
Okay.
So, like, I haven't been able to play, like, a video game since I have been between jobs. Because, like, it's just, like, something about it, like, I just can't relax enough to sit around and play video games for a couple hours. I feel like, oh, I gotta go clean the basement.
Yeah.
And I go down and start, like, fucking around in the basement, chopping up wood to get rid of it. Shit like that.
Nice. Yeah, I gotta do some of that myself.
Oh, your basement is beautiful. It's like a mansion in here, people. The floor is gorgeous.
It's not a mansion. The floors I am proud of.
You should be.
I like the floors, but yeah, I need to. I feel the need to do a purge, because there's a lot of like wood scraps and hardware junk. It's just shit from being a homeowner and trying to do your
really
own
hard.
things. You amass these things. You're like, oh, this is like 3 foot of a 2x4. I don't want to get rid of this.
Exactly.
I don't know what the fuck I'm ever going to do with it, but I have to hang on to it.
Because what happens is you'll get rid of it, and then you'll get, like, false reinforcement when, like, a month later, you need 2/3 of a foot of 2x4, and you're like, I should never have cleaned.
Right?
I was an idiot.
Yeah. So, but I've been here about 9 going on 10 years, something like that, and I've just amassed a bunch of shit, and I just feel the need to go through and get rid of it. I mean, certainly even artwork, like old posters and things I have no wall space to put up that I'm not going to display. Like, do I really need my 17 Cure posters from 20 years ago?
That's true.
Yes and no.
Yeah, they're great.
I gotta figure it out.
Like, you feel like this is a treasure, and if I get rid of it, it is no longer a treasure, it is trash. And I can't connect with someone who will, like, identify this as, like, as important as I do, even if I can't really do it the justice of, like, it's in a roll in a bin, like,
there's a fucking train's
train's coming through.
What the hell?
That's awesome. I'm going to actually take that as a signal. I got to pee like nobody's business. Do you want to chat through this or just... Yeah, I would say that if you live in New York State, and this is a real specific thing because the asbestos abatement laws are different state by state.
Right.
But in New York State, you are allowed to conduct your own asbestos abatement if you so choose. And I recommend it. I recommend, like, if you feel like you have the ambition to undertake it, you probably can do it. Now, the one element that I really say should not be optional, it's not the cheapest thing, but it should not be optional, is having an air quality test done at the conclusion of your abatement.
Okay.
Because you got to know if you fucked it up. Like, if you messed it up and your basement is now a toxic place, you really need to know that.
Good point.
So, like, that's the thing that costs, like, $350 or so to have someone come in and do the test and, you know, let you know how it worked out.
Money well spent, though.
Yeah. I mean, the money saved to abate the first, well, actually the two, they were pretty equal sized jobs I worked on. I did my own and I did my brother-in-law and my sister's place. And, you know, you have to, the basic principle is simple. You create like a room within the space that you're in. And that room is made of plastic. And that room is pretty airtight. It's not super airtight, but it's pretty airtight.
It's a kill room.
You pretty much. You make a kill room in the space. You have like including what that includes a chamber, like a little decontamination chamber where it's like a room between the rooms where you get dressed or undressed and do all the stuff.
A little airlock.
Yeah, airlock action. Man trap, I think they also call them. So like you do that and basically asbestos is not that tricky to stop from being a problem. You just got to keep it wet as hell. So you just like spray it down with one of those pump action sprayers, and when it's super sopping wet, you cut it, take it down, and stuff in a bag. Now the difficulty comes in that this is not, it's not a fast job. And you have to get into a Tyvek trademark material, Tyvek bodysuit, and wear a full face respirator. And generally speaking, when I've done them, I go in with the plan of I'm not going to burn through several different suits. I'm not going to have to do decontamination and then recontaminate. Like I'm just going to do it in one shot.
Yeah.
And so you plan accordingly to work in a very hot environment because you're in a sealed plastic bag.
Oh, yeah.
And it warms up with your body heat. And in that plastic bag, you're in a sealed suit that has like it's just getting hot. And you're not drinking because if you drink, you'll have to pee.
Yeah, and you've got the respirator on and it's getting sweaty in there.
So yeah, it is a challenge. But, you know, if you go in, if you've prepped for it and you've done like the pre-hydration where for a couple days before you drink a lot of water so that you're really well hydrated when you go in, but not necessarily needing to go to the bathroom. You go in, you spend the 8 to 10 hours in there, then you get out and it's done. And you have like, fuck obstacle races. There's things in real life that are like really difficult that are really satisfying. And when you've like removed all this asbestos, you feel great about it.
I can see that. Yeah.
Now this comes up because a friend of ours just purchased a house, and one of the things that they remarked on was that the pipes have asbestos coating.
Oh, okay.
And I say just leave it because asbestos is awesome at what it does with being an insulator.
Right. As long as it's not fraying and
even if it's fraying, if there's frayed asbestos that you're not touching, it's not doing shit. Like it's just sitting there. If you're like knocking into it, yeah, you're creating airborne asbestos. And there's like a lot of debate whether or not the amount of exposure you would get from having asbestos in your basement that you occasionally bump would actually ever hurt you. If you worked in like a factory or something that had asbestos that you were constantly like aerosolizing and breathing in, yeah, that's going to fuck your shit right up.
Right.
But I don't know if it's really as difficult as it seems to work with. And if it's wet, it's completely inert because none of its like dust comes up when it's wet. So you just soak it. Easy peasy.
That's cool.
Now, I am not licensed in any way, and I am not a doctor. So I am absolutely dodging any liability if you undertake this. I just say, do the research. It might be something you can do. And after it's done, you have the same bragging rights that you would if you did like a Tough Mudder, except you actually did something.
Whoa.
Well, no, Tough Mudder and Spartan, which I'm proud to have run a Spartan Beast, it was difficult. It was difficult to the point that I see people who have the 13.1 like thing on their car or whatever, and I'm like, whatever. Like, your half marathon is bullshit. I did a half marathon up and down a mountain several times, and having to like do all this ridiculous bullshit on the way. Your half marathon doesn't impress me.
Nice.
But like that said, there's a lot of these obstacle races that are like really not healthy. They do shit like there's kitschy stuff that I think is fun, like the ones that give you like electric shock as you run through like a field of dangling wires and they shock you and stuff. That doesn't bother me as much.
It sounds like fun, yeah.
That's okay. It hurts and whatever. You just like, you run through and you're okay. It's cool. Don't worry, it's fun.
Okay.
But what really bothers me is this stuff where you do a whole bunch of really, really difficult activity and then they dunk you in ice water.
Yeah.
Because that is actually not good for you. So, it's one of those things.
I think we should keep a tally of how many groups of people we can alienate with each episode. So I'm shitting on Nine Inch Nails fans like every episode so far.
Oh, that'd be...
Now,
that'd be
Tough
pretty
Mudder
good.
people are pissed off at us.
Well, I don't think they'd be pissed off. I think they're the first people to recognize it because I'm not excluding myself. I think obstacle races are fun. And if I was running a Tough Mudder or a Spartan or a Warrior Dash, and I actually think Warrior Dash is one of the best because they really don't obsess about being the most difficult. Warrior Dash is just like, it's fucking fun. You go up, you do all this shit, it's fun. Whereas there's like Spartan, the war between Spartan and Warrior Dash Spartan and Tough Mudder has escalated to the point where they like just do ridiculous things to try to make it harder than the other. Like, it culminated in the Spartan Beast that I was running, which was 12 miles up and down Killington Mountain, with one of the obstacles being surprised there's a couple extra miles.
Yeah, I've heard about surprises like that.
But one of the things they did to make it harder was, there's no water stations. All the water you need to do this, you have to carry with you in the form of a hydration pack.
Did everyone get that message before the race?
They did, because in theory, they would not let you run the race unless you showed them your water supply. But like, it was super, super lax. It was like somebody who had like a Dasani bottle of water. They were like, I'll allow it.
See, that's some dangerous shit. That's
yeah. It's really like, it really doesn't care if people get hurt and drop out. They actually, now here's where I might go out on a limb and say that they actually want people to get hurt and drop out. because for the people who, I'd say, 10%,
Makes
if you have
it more
a
special.
10% washout,
Yeah.
everyone feels like, yeah, I did it. I'm awesome. I did it.
Right.
I didn't wash out just because I was being dragged behind a tractor over rocks.
Now that sounds like maybe you should have designed your own endurance race.
Now, that was not a part of the Spartan Beast. But what that reminded me of this was crawling under barbed wire on a dirt road while someone sprayed you with a fire hose.
That sounds like fun.
Like, it was annoying. Like, it was really not, like, so because the fire hose was continually washing down the crowd and, like, trying to make, like, a point of not letting anyone feel neglected and just, like, slamming you on occasion, what it did was it like, washed away all of the loose dirt on the road, so you were just like crawling over sharp rocks with like a maybe 16-inch clearance under the barbed wire, so you're just like snaking, dragging yourself through.
Was this real barbed wire? Or
Oh yeah,
like
yes, it was.
How can they get away with that? That's fucked up.
It's
really not right.
I don't even understand how this is legal. Like, reflecting on it, it doesn't make sense.
Well,
but
it's consensual. I
I
imagine you had to sign a release or something, right?
Yeah. And at any point, like, you could not do an obstacle.
Yeah.
And
do burpees instead or something?
There was like a penalty exercise
Yeah.
that you could do instead, or if you failed the obstacle, you had to do the penalty exercise. So
yeah, I feel like I don't know. I'm not a big fan of that stuff.
I didn't have a great time. Like, I had a lot of fun. I mean, like, the time to completion was not great, but there wasn't a single obstacle that I didn't complete, so that was something for me. That's some bragging rights, I guess. But
that's cool.
Yeah.
So if you had to run from a crazed killer,
oh hell yeah,
bringing
Easy.
it back to horror, October, Halloween, you feel pretty confident in your abilities.
Oh yeah, easy. I'm trying to think, like, so in terms of the killer hierarchy, like, I think Jason would just be kind of annoyed because I would just run fuck out of town. I would just pick a direction out of Crystal Lake,
13 miles, and
just keep running. And
that's smart.
Because he doesn't have, like, he has like a roaming area. He can't go.
Well, he went to New York once.
I don't think he went. Didn't he get dragged on the bottom of a boat or something?
I'm not sure. I just fucking watched this movie last night too. I'm sorry to say, but I don't think he was dragged by the anchor. I think he actually chased the boat or was hanging on or something. I think he made the choice to do that.
Really?
I think.
He visited Jason Takes Manhattan.
Well, he was after the kids on the boat. They were the last kids from, I don't know, some bullshit. I sensed a strong competition with Nightmare on Elm Street in that movie.
Okay.
But
it was a very personal, like, attack. He like, it wasn't just some kids. It was the kids who came from his camp.
Yeah, it was like the last Crystal Lake kids or some such bullshit, I think. I don't know.
Okay.
There was some very surreal waking dream stuff going on with the female protagonist, and it had a very, Freddy's Nightmares kind of a feel to it.
Well,
I think that's what they were chasing.
Freddy's tricky because I love sleeping. Like, I was talking about various forms of addiction earlier with my fiance,
Okay.
my partner, and I said I am absolutely a sleep addict.
Really? You don't seem to sleep a lot.
I don't have to sleep a lot.
Okay.
But when it is bedtime, it is fucking bedtime. Like, when I have said, like, I'm ready to pack it in, if something comes up and I need to, like, change the bed sheets, I would, like, no, I'll sleep on this turd tonight. I don't care. it is fucking bedtime. Shutdown time has arrived.
I can respect that.
Like, I can't help it. Like, I always did this thing. Like, it's like a mama bear and its cub. Like, you don't get between them. I turn into a real fucking asshole. It's one of the few times where I'll really be a fucking jerk. Where I'm like, look, I just need to get some sleep.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. It's a little too much, but...
Now, that's interesting, though, that you're like that, but you used to work a job where you had to do overnight stuff. You had on-call duties where you would get woken up and stuff like that. I know that would really piss me off when... you have to do something in the middle of the night for an hour or something, but then your job expects you to be in at the normal time the next day.
No. Rest his soul. My ex boss, he's still alive, but he's not my boss anymore. Rest his soul. I established with him, even before he was my boss, the hum's back, whatever. I established with him before he was my boss, like, what is fair. And I was like, look, if I'm on call and they wake me up, that's fine. I will wake up for anything and we'll work it through as long as it needs to be worked through. But they get that grace at the cost that anything that they do to wake me counts as a full day. They're not going to see me if they've woken me up because they have no idea how long it's going to take for me to actually get back to sleep. They don't know how much of my actual time they have eaten by waking me up in the middle of the night. And he was like, yeah, that sounds reasonable. And then once he was my boss, he had already agreed to that. Like, he couldn't forget that, like, yeah, I saw that was reasonable before. So I never had any problem. So, like, doing an overnight, like, I go to bed to get sleep before the overnight, and if I'm woken up in the middle of the night, sure, I'm tired, but I know that I can then, at the conclusion, sleep as much as I want, and they're not going to bug me. Hopefully.
That's nice.
But, yeah, like...
My job isn't like that.
See, it's curious. If you... not advocating it, but I'm curious what their rebuttal would be to you requesting humane... like treatment as part of on call. Like, I have some sleep concerns, and if I'm woken, I have a really hard time getting back to sleep. Yeah. So, can you recognize that I won't be coming in that day if you have woken me up overnight?
Yeah, they just no. They don't do that.
What would they say?
They would say, no, you have to come in. They have a thing. I mean, they have a very loose... This is all crazy. They're actually transitioning on-call duties to a very large group of people. It was a small group of production incident resolution, a PERT team, essentially, production incident resolution team, which was, maybe 8 people total, something like that. And now they're transitioning to all the development teams, which is a much larger pool. And each manager of the separate development teams has a bit of a leeway into how they can deal with that.
Okay.
But the team I'm on expects you to be there in the morning and will give you some flex time, which won't be a whole day, will be basically the time you spent correcting the issue that you have to then arrange with your supervisor as to when you can take it, which might not be that next day. It might have to be another time if you're working on something important. It's a bunch of bullshit, essentially. So, yeah, that's just...
Well,
But there could be a learning curve there because, again, these are new teams and it's a new responsibility, so that could evolve.
Yeah, I feel like any time is at least 4 hours, and 4 hours and 1 minute is a full day. That's as far as like the New York State salary guidelines go,
Right.
it's like it really doesn't get more granular than half a day. If you're out for 3.5 hours, then you've worked 4. And like that's as far that's the way accounting works for time for New York State. Or that's the way it's supposed to.
Yeah.
So I think if you came in 3 hours late, that's fine. You're working more than 4 hours. You've worked a full day as salary goes. But per individual managers, they're going to give you more hard time. You just have to. It's one of those things where you don't disclose in the interview that you are absolutely prepared to sue them if they try to treat you like a slave.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's whatever's tenable for you. Like I've had really hard on-call stuff, but I've also had like my last on-call situation was not so much that they wouldn't be understanding for like time off. It was that part of the give and take of this was if I get woken up and this issue takes 12 hours, then I'm like working from 2 in the morning to 2 in the afternoon on this issue to see it through to completion.
Yeah.
So like that's the trade-off. I think that every manager has to like manage what they're going to get from the person they're managing, and whether it's going to be worth it to like be an asshole to them and be like, no, you have to work super tired. I think that's when you start making intentional mistakes and causing more problems and being like, I'm fucking tired, bro.
Yeah, people don't seem to have any recognition or appreciation for the effects of sleep deprivation on driving, for instance. So I have a half-hour commute to my job, and, there's some danger there. There's a real-world consequence to some of these idiotic policies. So I don't know.
That's absolutely real. Like, now I would be commuting sometimes where I would do a night work that the active component would end at 5 o'clock in the morning. Sometimes clean up until 6 or maybe later, depending. And then I would have to come back from wherever this location was. But this location could be as far as like Ticonderoga, or way more likely use someplace like Queensbury, Glens Falls area.
So like a good hour away.
That's a good hour, and I would absolutely be falling asleep at the wheel on the way back. Like,
Yeah, it's not good.
I would have like lane placement problems, and like it was horrible. Like, and I guess the grace is that because I was traveling at before peak time, the roads were pretty empty.
Yeah.
Or if it was so late that it was starting to get light, it's kind of easier to be awake when it's not dark.
Gotcha.
So whatever.
Well,
That's the life. That's the glamour life of a tech samurai. You know what I'm saying?
God, yeah, I hear you.
Wherever
Ronin right now.
Wherever they send you, that's where you go.
Masterless.
That's right. I am a masterless assassin? Mercenary? Mercenary.
Not exactly.
I've been actually looking to do some... This is like something I'm a little conflicted about. Looking to do some network work for places that are not-for-profit.
Okay.
But I feel like even though they're not-for-profit and I want to like help them out because I believe in their cause and I want to like save them expenses, I'm also preventing them from creating an IT position if I just like do work for free for them.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's weird.
Well, you could start doing a little bit of work for free. Maybe you could create your sort of
Get them addicted.
consulting company.
Yeah.
Build up a little bit of a reputation and then ask for some cash. You know what I'm saying?
That'd be nice. Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, yeah, it's one of those things. It related to me not sitting still well. Is that
Right.
like, I can only do so much, which I still have a little more to go, but I can only do so much to my home network before I'm like, come on, I gotta get at something.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I fuck around, man.
All right. Well, that's a good thing. That's a good thing. I like that drive.
When it comes to fucking around, I don't fuck around.
That's right.
Yeah.
You're like a pro.
A pro
Do some
fucker.
crazy eye-damaging laser type shit sometimes.
I actually busted out the UV laser the other day.
Yeah?
I had the UV cannon out.
You
and the
blind
UV laser.
anybody?
You know, honestly, I didn't.
Now, is this more or less dangerous than an eclipse? Pretty close?
That's tough. Well, I'd say it's less. I'd like to say it's more dangerous, but because there's such a strong visual component, you would still get the pupil dilation. So it wouldn't like roast your what is it? What's the retina?
Yeah.
It wouldn't roast your retina so much as like an eclipse, because the danger of the eclipse is that there's no visible portion. So your eyes are just wide open.
It's
It's
all
like,
UV.
oh, what's going on? Oh, what's going on in here? And then you can't see anymore.
Yeah.
So less dangerous than that, but I was actually kind of disheartened that there was so much blacklight at this event that I was at the other night that like my Canon was like not impressive.
Well, it was named a blacklight event. That was in the title, right?
It's true, yeah. But still, like I expected I'd be able to turn on my Canon, which is like throwing out like 100-something watts of LED. Like that's like really bright.
Yeah.
Like, and it just, I turned it on. I was like, I can't see a difference whether it's on or off. So I just packed it up, you know. I still took the laser and like,
Blinded people?
yeah, absolutely. People I didn't like, if they gave me attitude from across the room, I just like, boing.
Okay.
That's it.
Cool.
I think it's fair.
If you say so. I wasn't there. I don't know.
Wow.
So I got two things.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe we should wrap it up after that.
Okay, sounds good. Let's do it.
So here's a dangerous tangent. To get back to drinking for a minute. Just a quick minute. Real quick.
Real quick. Let's do this real quick. You go real quick.
So we know of one of the world's most dangerous drinking games because we're fans of the 2012 version of Dredd. Not Judge Dredd from 1995,
Fuck that Stallone shit.
but the Carl Urban version of Dredd.
A masterpiece.
And the game is, and I don't recommend this game because I'm telling you it's very dangerous. But just so you know, the game is you take a drink when you're watching Dredd and they say peach trees.
It's amazing. By the end of the movie, you are so destroyed.
It's rough. And you know, you don't smell it coming. You're watching those first 15 minutes and they don't get right to it. But then
And then they get a call from peach trees.
exactly.
And then every other line is fucking peach trees.
It goes downhill pretty quick. So just watch out for that one.
Are you excited? Do you hear about the new series?
I did. Did they sign Carl Urban officially?
They're working on him.
Okay.
He said he was game.
Mega City 1, right?
Yeah, I think that's what they called it.
Yeah. It puts me off a little bit that they're... I don't know. I have mixed feelings because the great thing about Dredd was that they didn't put any of the silly, stupid shit in it. But the silly, stupid shit is an integral part of the comic. So it sounds like they want to put some of that silliness back into the show, which is the right thing to do, but it's not.
Dredd was I really love Dredd.
Yeah.
If they ever brought Dredd back to the cinema in like RPX
Oh, God.
3D,
You have to see it in 3D.
all over that.
I was so lucky that my friend Mikey, brought that to my attention and said, "Let's go see this in 3D." I didn't know what to think. You know, I hadn't really seen the ads. It wasn't really in my consciousness. I wasn't excited about it. I was just like, "This is probably going to be pretty bad." And I don't know why I'm paying for a 3D movie, but whatever, we'll check it out. It was gorgeous. It was really good.
It's one of the great regrets of my life that I never saw Dredd in 3D
Oh,
because like the drug experiences were filmed with such an intention of 3D.
Yeah.
Like that's really when the director knows that it's 3D and is intentionally like crafting a 3D experience. I really want to do slow-mo now. That's the only way I'm going to get to see Dredd in 3D is if I take some slow-mo.
It's true.
Man, that stuff.
That would be fun.
Oh, so good. But yeah, I'm looking forward to the new show. I feel like there was a spiritual show that is linked to Dredd. It's not Dredd. It's not. But it was
Almost Human? Is that what you're talking about?
Almost Human.
Aha.
Now, a lot of people give it shit. They say that it really did not progress the way it should, but there was like almost a Firefly level controversy around this show because they didn't air the episodes in order.
Oh, okay.
I think it was on Fox.
I think you're right.
Fox is kind of, well, I don't know if it's Fox specific, but I'll say networks. I'll just go blanket. Networks are sometimes really not helmed by people who make the most logical moves.
No.
So, like, when they show episodes out of order and the show doesn't make sense and it doesn't build the way the director intended it to build, it really doesn't help. It doesn't do the show any favors. When they do stuff like move times around, like it's airing on Thursday, no, it's airing on Friday, no, it's airing it like after this ball game is finished, so like who knows if your DVR is actually going to catch it, you know, that kind of thing. Like it's really hard. You really are doing a disservice to this show, and I think Almost Human was not an inexpensive show to make, and so like yeah, it didn't I don't even know if it made it its full run as far as episodes being aired. But I thought it was a good show, and it was an engaging show, and it really felt like a realistic depiction of Mega City 1, where Mega City 1 was not an isolated city because of some sort of like nuclear holocaust or something. Where there was like the mega city, and then there were the walls around the city, and there was this big mystery of what are the walls for, what are the walls keeping out. Everyone in the city believes that like it's just absolute death outside the walls, so they don't want to investigate, but that's really just propaganda, and there is stuff outside the wall. So I felt like it was conceptually within the megacity like paradigm, whatever.
Yeah.
So whatever.
And there was kind of that big setup to that wall, and then they didn't. I think that was the last episode, right? Was that guy escaping over the wall, and they're like, "What's out there?" And that was kind of where they left it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
John LaRoquette from Night Court.
He had his own show for a while. Did you ever watch the John LaRoquette show?
No. Was it good?
I enjoyed it. He was a recovering alcoholic managing a bus station or some shit. I don't know. Something like that. It was crazy, but it was fun.
That's amazing.
He was good. I think somebody played a sponsor, a musician. David Crosby or somebody played a sponsor.
Okay.
Yeah, it was wacky, but it was good. 90s, late 90s stuff.
Yeah.
Almost Human was pretty good. I didn't get a sense of scale of the megacity, but other than that, I dig what you're saying.
I felt like what Almost Human was sort of a prequel to Dredd.
Yeah, it had the cyberpunk thing going on.
There was some technical advancements that were yet to be in place, and they were using these cyborg judges pretty much.
To an extent, yeah.
Yeah, but then like it wasn't working out perfectly. So I think, logically I could say, okay, after that, they moved to the actual judge system where,
okay,
but that's how I feel about it.
I can see that.
Maybe I'm just biased because Carl was in both, but I don't know. Whatever.
It was
Carl,
a fun show for sure.
He was pretty burnt by the experience.
Oh, really?
He I think he thought working for a network was like some bullshit.
Oh.
I think he did not like the ridiculous demands on shooting schedules, and
TV is rough, yeah, from what I hear.
like he got pitched something that was good enough for him to do it, and then
the reality
kind of
was yeah.
the reality was like he put in all this work, and then the network aired his episodes out of order, and it kept fucking with his time slots, and like
they didn't do justice to the product.
Giving him stress to perform better, even like to bring up viewing statistics, even though like it was them that was fucking it up. I tell you, Fox, I think it was Fox that was airing Almost Human, but they're not the greatest offender out there. I don't know if you watch a lot of cartoons.
Not a lot, no.
But the biggest offender that I've seen in the industry is Cartoon Network.
Really?
Because they do not give a fuck about schedules. Like, they will establish there's a pretty prehistoric precedent for like your show is on this day at this time.
Yeah.
And they don't fuck with that at all. They're like, no, every day this week at 7:30, it's a new Adventure Time.
Oh, right.
And then we're gonna have like a fucking Adventure Time drought for the next 6 months where you don't get shit.
And then they'll do a marathon.
And they'll do a marathon because they don't pace anything. They're not like, oh, let's, hey, wait, instead of doing 2 weeks of episodes like 2 a night every night, why don't we make it like a show that airs at a regular time? Because, like, what the fuck? This is a kids network, and kids, like, it doesn't make any sense why they would think children would be adept at, like, going on the internet and finding out when their episode is airing next, unless they really just don't give a shit. What the fuck, man?
Maybe they're so next level that they know nobody cares about the schedules and everyone's downloading their shit or watching it online.
Why are they running a network?
Just
give up. Just be completely on-demand, over-the-top service. Like,
that makes sense.
Like, be Crunchyroll at that point.
Yeah.
Just be Netflix. Just release all episodes at one go and let people bug out.
Maybe that's where they're going.
Don't fucking string people along like Rick and Morty, where they like fucking tease you at the end, like, oh, it's gonna be a really long time. You're gonna be real sad.
Well, that's true.
Well, of course, yeah. But
because they're assholes.
They fucked us every time. Like, releasing the first episode of Rick and Morty season 3 on April Fools was like a complete mindfuck to all of the fans, because they're always going to be thinking like, well, maybe there's going to be a Thanksgiving special. Like any holiday, they're going to think maybe this is the one where they're going to let one slip. Just just real quick. Just something like that, real quick.
Not real quick. No,
they don't do it.
No, I very doubtful. It takes them a long time to do the writing, and then they have to do the animation, and then all of it takes a long time. So
sure,
that's what they've said anyway. I believe it.
So were you? I feel like it was so long ago now. Were you satisfied with the conclusion of the season 3?
Kind of, mostly, maybe not completely. It was pretty good. I mean, I can't say I didn't enjoy it. It was very enjoyable.
Yeah. Now, I think we touched on this at the beginning, at the head of the episode, the Szechuan sauce.
Yes.
Now, I'm going to do something that is probably ill-advised. I'm going to defend the Rick and Morty fan base.
Okay.
Now, the Rick and Morty fan base is notorious for, like, being horrible. Like, basically being, like,
demanding.
the worst elements of society imaginable.
Okay.
Like, they're really hard. Like, you can watch Rick and Morty and look into the deep levels of writing and see brilliant writing. Or you can giggle at the fart jokes.
Yeah.
And, like, there's the tiers of society. The number of people who must just, like, come at it for the easy fart jokes. Just so overwhelm the people delving deep that, like, you know, you'll see videos of people jumping on counters at McDonald's demanding Szechuan sauce.
Oh, jeez.
Like saying, did you see the video? I'm Pickle Rick. I want some Szechuan sauce. Like, it was ridiculous. Now, I'm going to defend them in saying that McDonald's fucked this up big time. Like, real. So McDonald's did this promotion where on one day, Szechuan sauce was back.
One day?
One day.
How the fuck is that a promotion?
At 2 p.m., Szechuan sauce was back. Now, what they didn't say is that locations, I don't even think it was every location, but locations got 70 packets of Szechuan sauce.
What?
Yeah, just 70. But they would let people line up at, like, in preparation for the 2 o'clock thing and not let them know that, like, beyond the first people in line, everyone else was not getting shit. McDonald's didn't tell them. They didn't manage it really well. Some places, like, you know, I guess it was like, it was not organized. It wasn't malicious. It was just like they gave 70 packets to participating stores and let them do it. And some places fucked up and, like, as soon as they opened would give out Szechuan sauce to whoever asked.
Yeah.
Some people made people line up for the 2 o'clock time that they were going to give it out. Some people went down the line and said, we have enough sauce for the first 70 people. You're number 71. It's up to you whether you want to stay and, like, see if someone in line ahead of you just bails before the 2 o'clock.
It's crazy.
So, like, yeah, McDonald's really, like, what's so fucking hard? This shit is made out of, like, sweet and sour sauce plus barbecue equals Szechuan sauce, pretty much. Like, it's not that hard to just make it in almost infinite supply.
Yeah.
Just do it for a while.
Especially if they know it's a thing and it's popular and people want it. I mean, what the fuck?
You know, whatever.
Yeah. Okay,
like,
well.
The stupid shit people do is beyond me sometimes.
Yeah. Well, let's get back to October for a minute. So it's Halloween season. Let's talk about horror movies. Let's talk about horror stuff. Mm-hmm. Is there anything that gives you comfort that you come back to? Is there anything you like to read in October? Are there movies you like to watch? What's your go-to? What are you getting into right now?
Well, let me tell you. I went to a special, and it's kind of annoying because I didn't know it was a special. Like, I knew it was special. It was a one showing only Jeepers Creepers 3.
Okay.
Where it wasn't getting major theatrical release. It was just one time you could see it on the big screen.
Okay.
And I saw Jeepers Creepers 3, which I would say is definitely the most bullshit of all three.
Oh.
With one redeeming feature. There's one, like, sort of twist at the end that is pretty interesting and, like, is somewhat rewarding, and I'm not going to give it away because anyone who watches Jeepers Creepers 3 absolutely needs that, like, little reward for an otherwise fairly bullshit movie.
Okay.
There was one actress, who was very good. And they cast an older woman in the role of an older woman. And she did mentally, like, of questionable mental status well enough that, like, it was slightly uncomfortable.
Oh.
Like, you really thought this older woman. And, the worst thing about going to movies these days is the people in the fucking movie theater.
Yes.
Like, I really, like, those fuckers who coughed on the back of your neck during that.
Oh, my God.
Like, that was really out of control. How does that shit happen? So, like, I don't know why nobody has any sense of etiquette in movie theaters anymore. And even in Jeepers Creepers 3, I saw people bringing in fucking children to an NR movie.
Jesus.
This is not even rated. There are no rules. But what I will say that was good about it is the older woman did a fantastic acting job. She was an older woman, cast as an older woman, and that is like a bold Hollywood move. It wasn't a young woman in old person makeup. There was a couple other actors that I imagined as like the actors that they aspired to. Like, there was a black dude who I really think they wished was Denzel Washington.
Okay.
And had it been Denzel, that would have been like amazing, over the top, awesome. But generally, I'm going to give it a 4 out of 10.
Okay.
And I generally like the Jeepers Creepers movie, but it really didn't hyper deliver. I really what are your favorites as far as the holiday season goes?
I'm an Evil Dead fan. I might break out the Evil Dead 2 Blu-ray. What I find interesting about those, not necessarily the movies themselves, but the different releases, is that I'm kind of a sucker, so I buy the special edition. I've got the VHS, I've got one of the DVDs, now I have a Blu-ray. Bruce and Sam and the people involved in the movie, they actually re-record the commentary like every time. So you hear different things, you get some different stories, you get a slightly different thing if you listen to some of the extra features. That's kind of fun. They don't just put out the same shit. They actually get together and do it again. So that's kind of fun. But I'm actually looking forward to watching the Blu-ray of The Thing. Came out late last year, I think. I got it as a present. I watched all the extra features. I haven't watched the movie yet. It's John Carpenter's version, the 1982 release.
Thing. Okay.
Yes.
Have you seen the newer thing with Ramona Flowers in it?
I have. I didn't love it. The CGI doesn't do it for me. Someday, maybe now CGI is getting to that level. But, a couple of years, 1 or 2 years ago, right?
Yeah.
It just wasn't there yet.
I really don't get it. It seemed like for a while, people were so enamored with CGI that they would, take what is the equivalent of a cartoon monster superimposed in the scene poorly and just accept that as, great movie, great cinema.
Yeah.
When it was bullshit. It was horrible. But they were like, oh, this is so new. It looks almost real. I can't believe it. Well, yeah, you can't believe it. It looks like bullshit. That's why.
Right. And it looks worse. The thing about CGI is sometimes it looks okay on the big screen, but then you get your DVD or you download it at home and you watch it on the smaller screen and it looks totally worse. That's the bad part.
Yeah.
That's, it's really tough on the smaller screens. So I think they're getting there slowly but surely. It's getting better and better. But even something from 3 years ago looks like total nonsense these days when you watch it. So it's really hard to do that believably. And I really like, some of the newer stuff like Ash vs. Evil Dead, the TV show, doing a lot of practical effects, bringing that back. It's really great to see. It looks super great. Some of it can be cheesy, but it's not like something isn't there. It's there and it's real and it has a certain presence on screen that you can't so far they haven't really been able to duplicate. So
Yeah, I really get you there. Like,
yeah,
I'm not a traditionalist. I'm not like, no, I want to stick to the old ways because they're the old ways and I'm familiar with them. But when you have a practical effect, there's certain, like, real advantages. Like, the people are really reacting to the thing that's there.
right.
That's a big deal. Like, instead of, like, pretending to be reacting and each of them is reacting to a slightly different space and it just takes you out of that shit.
Yeah,
And it looks, they know how good it looks when they're doing it. When, like, it doesn't look, if it looks like a tentacle, it looks like an awesome tentacle. If it looks like a fucked up pool noodle, they know that it looks like a fucked up pool noodle, and someone's going to say, no, that's not good enough. You got to fix that shit. We can't have a pool noodle on screen. And they fix it.
yes,
Something like that, right?
yes.
So, yeah, I think practical effects are still important, even in the world where, here I go, even in a world that is 99% propaganda for news, where any political figure can appear to say something and really it's a CG replica with someone else making it appear that they've said something. Even in that world, somehow the movies still have bullshit effects. Like,
You just went really deep right there.
unbelievable. Yeah, well, like, it's that when I touch on reality, that shit's dark. Yeah. We live in a fucked up world, dude. This is Black Mirror.
Yeah. Is Black Mirror just the Twilight Zone for today? Is that really what it is? Or
No, because there's no whimsy. There's nothing whimsical about Black Mirror. It's all like, yeah, this is the shitty-ass society you live in right now, taking, like, not even that many steps forward. It's like 2 steps forward.
yeah.
We're not 100 years in the future. We're like 10. You'll live to see this shit. Here you go. So, yeah, whew. Got heavy for a second. But yeah, that technology to puppet people is actually something Disney displayed in a tech demo where they had somebody acting as George W. Bush, and it not only used enough pre-recorded phonetic forensics to replicate his speech, but they had enough recorded facial forensics so that they could map George W. Bush's expressions to the expressions of the actor who was pantomiming him. And he would do, like, a full speech about, like, the Martians have contacted us, whatever. And it would really convey as a true representation of, like, oh shit, George Bush just got on TV and said the Martians reached out.
That's kind of awesome.
It is
Scary and awesome.
it's what it's the extension of technology. The extension is that art is going to imitate life so perfectly that you can't tell the difference. But to be willfully ignorant that that is coming and just expect everything that you see on television is real is really a mistake. And
Yeah.
people are, like, ready to make it. They're like, no, whatever, put on your tinfoil hat. That's not what's happening.
Well, yeah.
Okay, so I'll give myself 2 outs. One, I am a fairly paranoid person who works in tech, so I kind of see stuff and know where it's going, and so maybe my pessimism overshadows where it could go instead of where it's going. I'll give it that. And 2, I have been drinking some fantastic Harvest bloodbaths. I think the second one was definitely stronger than the first one,
Oh, there you go.
but that's not a bad thing.
All right. Good.
You want to drink some straight raspberry liqueur?
Oh, Jesus.
Oh, jeez.
Maybe with the last of the rum,
All right, there we go.
because there's not that much left. I've had this rum, the first party I threw in this house after I met you guys.
Oh, really?
I bought that rum for.
The Don Q Crystal? How would
Yeah.
you say that?
I don't know.
Just
Crystal?
Like there's a Y.
It's not
There's
Crystal champagne.
There is no.
It's not the champagne.
There is no Y.
No.
It's not really spelled like Crystal, but we'll just call it Crystal.
Whatever.
Don Q Crystal.
Yeah, it's Don Q. Anyway. That was for, the first party I threw. So that was a good, 4 years ago with you guys.
Wonderful years, man.
Yeah, but that's how long that's been around. So I expected it to be a bigger hit than it was. Not a lot of people hit it during that party, but that's okay. It's actually super good stuff. I was actually recommended that over Bacardi at the liquor store. So I think it was a good. That looks like enough. Try a little
I'm not
of that.
looking at. I was actually really balanced about that. I was trying to decide what would look good.
Equal parts,
Yeah.
approximately. Paul is the drink maker, by the way. There's no trying to step up, trying to compete,
Oh, dear.
trying to get on the same level.
I don't know if it's going to be good. If it's horrible, we'll add some wine.
Well, let's see. It's a little strong, but it's good. You want to try that?
Okay, I'll give it a sip, sure.
It's not bad.
The bouquet is okay.
Yeah. What do you think?
Oh, I can taste the rum.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Put it in a good way.
I'm going to put a splash of wine in that.
A little splash?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think it needs much. I think just
That
a
wasn't
little bit.
much. It was maybe half a shot.
So I guess, we were looking to wrap up. Is there anything that you were going to bring to the Halloween party that we're going to? Is there any drink special you were hoping to?
No, just a costume. Maybe I can bring some components for the unnameable. Some lemon seltzer.
Okay.
Or,
All right, yeah.
I can contribute my Vieux Carré
That's
absinthe.
a beautiful absinthe. That's great.
I can bring that along. That's also a good 3 or 4 years old now. A little absinthe goes a long way.
Well, I think we touched on it before that, chartreuse is so nice that you just drink it. You drink it up. But
Chartreuse is yummy.
absinthe, you will, it's one of those things that you enjoy, but it's also kind of killing you a little bit. So you keep it at arm's length a little bit.
That's true.
So yeah, did you disclose what your Halloween getup is?
No.
Because I'm coming right from a wedding, I don't think it's a steampunk wedding, which
Okay.
is I'm not going to dress with ornamental gears or anything.
I thought you were bringing the monkey suit.
Yeah, I think that's
Steampunk monkey?
maybe I'll do a. All right, I'll say it here now. This is strictly for our ears, but I'm thinking of a monkey suit, my monkey onesie, with a gothical style power glove.
Okay.
Just to be the monkey gothical, the weird disposable character that they throw into cartoons when the cartoon is failing and nobody wants to watch it anymore, and they just keep adding characters hoping that builds audience engagement.
Interesting.
That's how I'm gonna go.
Okay. Are you going to have the hat on top? The Civil War cap that you like to wear?
Maybe I'll do virtual reality goggles or something. But fake
that'd be
ones.
interesting.
Yeah, so
That'd be interesting.
and I'll keep pretending I'm grabbing at VR stuff as I poke people.
Okay. You gonna do any
I
kind
like
of belt buckle to accentuate the power glove, some kind of NES theme?
Maybe I could use a whole Super Nintendo as a belt buckle.
That would be outrageous.
I have that, yeah. That would be over the top, but
Wow.
I have gone over the top before.
You're an over the top kind of guy. Now there's been
occasion.
for the last 2 years, maybe even 3 years, there's been some talk of 1986 Dune David Lynch style still suits.
It's not this year.
No,
I think soon, though. I think I am
breaks
ready
my
to
heart.
I know.
I've been waiting to see this.
Honestly, do you want to know what really stops me? it's the intellectual block of I don't know how to solve the challenge of the cod piece. Like, if you do a cod piece that's weird, like, it's fucked up, dude. You can't go to the party anymore. You fucked it up.
Well, how were the... I don't even remember.
It was fucked up. If you showed up in one
was?
of the actual suits and there wasn't, like, camera angle to keep that out of view most of the time, it is fucked up and awkward, that cod piece.
Can you go with the Fade Routha dual underwear, you know, over the top of the still suit at the end? Maybe that'll help you out a little bit.
Did he do that?
I thought Sting had some... Maybe not from the duel, but earlier in the film when he was just had the underwear on.
I will kill him. I will.
Exactly.
But I don't know. I think not. But I am thinking that I'm getting close. There's so many prerequisites to making a still suit.
Well, now you have the time. That's the important part, right?
Yeah, that's kind of true.
Come on.
I've been rehabilitating the basement. I don't think I have the time before this Halloween.
Oh,
or
that's
before
okay.
this party. But,
Yeah.
But the basement is coming along. I have a full server rack in my basement that I'm ready to move against the wall and start like actually clearing out a big open space. I'm going to put a ton of fluorescent lights overhead so the whole basement gets super bright. I might start closing up the exposed rafters with thin insulation to give like a sort of ceiling effect that is less horrible basement-y.
Yeah.
But I mean, your basement is really an inspiration to us. Like it's beautiful. It's not at all if you had to spend a night sleeping down here, not at all traumatic.
No, in fact, some of my friends have done that.
If I had to sleep in my basement, heavily traumatic.
Well, I will say, here's an interesting piece of trivia for anyone who gives a shit. So, my ex-uncle-in-law was the father of the singer of Hatebreed.
Okay, that's really weird.
Yeah, so ex-Uncle Jim actually was a contractor who would buy houses, fix them up, and flip them.
Mm-hmm.
And my ex-wife, when we got married and bought this house, he came down and he helped me sort of clear out this basement, frame the walls, and put up some of the drywall. Mm-hmm. And we did that over like a long weekend, like 3 days. We framed and drywalled most of this.
Cool.
Then he headed out. I finished the drywalling and did the electrical and did the flooring and all that and finished it up. So he was a big help. We didn't really get... I wanted to do things specifically for acoustic isolation for the studio. Mm-hmm. We didn't really do that. We just kind of threw up the walls and did, normal construction techniques. So we got it done. It's not ideal, but we got it done, and I'm pretty happy with it. I was pretty proud when I finished. This took a long ass time to do. I'll tell you that. It took me like a year to finish it after I left.
It looks great.
Yeah, thank you. Took a lot of time. I'm pretty happy with it. I don't spend enough time down here, but
like I said, there is really no spot in this basement, like 0 spots where I couldn't lay out a sleeping bag and be cool. Like, that's a cool spot to sleep.
Awesome.
Maybe in front of your workbench it would be as sketchy as it gets, but I could still do it. It's no worse than, like, sleeping in the woods. My basement is fucked up. Like, my basement, you would not do that.
You have a normal basement with, exposed framing and ceiling beams and crazy floor. And, it's a basement. I get it.
But it would be nice if it was an extra room, but, that's what I'm working at. That's what...
I can give you a hand with some of that.
All right, cool. I'm down with that.
I got some knowledge.
Cool.
A little bit.
Knowledge is power?
A little bit.
A little bit.
Somewhat.
Little bit. It's a small amount of power.
Yeah.
It's not a substitute for actual power, but it's good.
It's close.
Yeah, it's good.
Well, I think that's all we got for these kids.
All right,
I think we quenched their thirst.
They were mad thirsty.
They were
if
mad
they've made
thirsty.
it to this point, they were definitely mad thirsty.
Well, yeah.
So, okay. Well, I can't wait to add this to my home radio.
Awesome.
And I can't wait for the next time. It was really fun.
All right, yeah. I feel the same. So thanks, everybody. We'll catch you next time.
Yeah, peace out.